Hello everyone, and we're back. Josh, we are going to all the weeks of the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League Rebirth individual titles now leads us to this moment, Justice League of America #1, and we get a milestone issue in Detective Comics number 950. Wow, never thought we would get back to that numbering for Detective in Action Comics, and that's what I liked about Rebirth. We get the original numbering back for those titles.
Yeah, and it's really nice when you're typing up all the notes, because sometimes you have to write, number 16, number 16, number 16, number 16. It's nice to write some different numbers in there every now and then.
Justice League of America Rebirth #1, JLA Rebirth. Josh, we've got a Justice League of America team with all the members from one. We've got the members from the Justice League of America Rebirth series that were just done this past month, and a couple of other characters.
Yeah. Batman is forming this new Justice League, and we kind of see his mindset as to why he created it as he's recruiting all the members. He's saying that this needs to be a league based on relatable heroes.
Yes.
They don't need, the people don't need gods to inspire them. They need heroes who are people to inspire them. And in doing that, they can inspire them to do good themselves.
Yes.
So that's an interesting thing to compare, because that sort of draws a comparison with the normal Justice League. Like, is he saying, okay, are those supposed to be the gods that he's talking about?
I think it
But
definitely is.
That's kind of curious, because that has, Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, who are still, they're still normal people. They have an odd job. Cyborg is still trying to find his human side, even though he might not be human. The only two really would kind of fit that bill would be Superman and Wonder Woman.
Well, then you've got Aquaman.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
But the Flash has his own. He has a day job.
I think it's just the abilities that they wield are godlike, and with the immense power that they wield.
Maybe.
I could see the case for the Green Lanterns, because they wield the rings that can pretty much construct anything they think of.
Yeah.
And then Cyborg, with all the technology, he's like the god of technology. So I think they're bigger than life. But when you get to the Justice League of America, for the most part, until you get to the Outlier, would say these are just normal people that had their... Yeah, I can see the Green Lanterns. I can see what you're saying. But I think they're just more level-headed. So because you got Vixen, who turns out to be the leader, the Canary, which I would feel would be a co-leader as well. And then you have, he was looking for Ray Palmer, the Atom, but Ryan Cho, as you know, will be that place. You have the Ray, and then you have, who am I missing?
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost originally. I'm not sure why I forgot her originally. But the Outlier is definitely Lobo.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this is a ground level league.
As Batman's recruiting them, the two he's kind of the most positive on are Black Canary and the Vixen. Is when he recruits Black Canary, he wants her because she speaks her mind, and she'll keep them honest.
Yes.
By, essentially keeping them in check. And it's interesting too, because that's kind of something in the classic Justice League Green Arrow did to Batman. Because Green Arrow kind of always, he was never really intimidated by Batman. He was the one of them who really didn't care for the whole Dark Knight thing. And if Batman did something out of line, if anyone called him on it, it would be Green Arrow, who would say, no way, we're not doing that. And it kind of sounds like he's putting Black Canary in that same position. And on that same line, he sees Vixen, who's one of the more established heroes on the team, along with Black Canary, that she'll be sort of the heart and soul of the team. And it definitely sounds like she'll be at least one of the leaders of the team, because she's, as they're kind of bickering at the end, she's sitting there like, oh, geez, this is going to be a lot of work to keep them in line.
Lobo was the voice of reason for when Ryan Cho got onto the league.
Lobo and voice of reason in same sentence.
Yeah.
Universe did not explode.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Also, the intelligence that Lobo had. He was looking at that equation that Ryan Cho had written on the blackboard.
Yeah.
And said, hey, this is pretty good for a human. I'm thinking,
yeah.
all right.
Lobo was appraising academic work.
Yeah.
What don't we know about Lobo?
Exactly, what don't we know? And what we don't know is how this team is going to gel and the different as it's young. There's a reason Batman put it together, but I don't want to talk about that until we get to Detective Comics. But we do, at the last panel, we see some panels for future issues, for future story arcs of Justice League. We see one with, what is it, looks like the Ray and Lobo kind of going at it a little bit.
Yeah, could be like maybe a sparring match.
Yeah.
I could see that very easily as maybe a training, or maybe it's just a fist fight between the members, because that might be a kind of volatile team for a little bit.
Killer Frost confronting someone that you thought maybe might be Pandora?
Maybe. I mean, it looked like she got kind of blown up, Dr. Manhattan style, quite a few issues ago. But I mean, this person is wearing red, and she has chains on her hand, and so who knows? And we see Batman with a shield that has a picture of Miss Liberty on it, who is basically a Revolutionary War superhero in DC Comics, and he's facing someone who says, "The last person who wielded that shield against me died." So I don't know who that's going to be. I really don't know. And then at the very end, we have Ryan Choi finding what looks like Ray Palmer, who has a hood, and he's got a gun, and he's got this really weird look. And Ryan can just say, "Dr. Palmer?" So maybe we find Dr. Palmer, maybe we don't. And maybe he's in a different mindset than what we saw of him last time.
Yeah, definitely. Justice League of America Rebirth #1. And the whole series, I think, is going to give us some good adventures. And in time, we're going to find out why Batman put this team together. Detective Comics number 950. League of Shadows Prologue, Shadow of a Tear, Higher Powers, and the Big Picture. This was a deluxe anniversary issue at 950. So being that, we have 3 stories. Let's talk about the first one, Shadow of a Tear. And that involves more or less Orphan.
Yeah, Orphan is trying to find her place in Gotham City and among among the Bat team.
Right.
She's still fighting very hard against her role as a killer and as an assassin. And it shows that every time she meets with someone, she's viewing them as pressure points.
Yes.
I mean, when she talks to Batman, she even thinks in her head, geez, I could hit his neck in just the right way that I could kill him even with his reinforced cowl. And it's the only way she's really able to find an outlet for that is she's starting to follow ballet.
Yes.
And she's starting to kind of watch the ballerinas from a distance. She tries to get a little too close to one and kind of freaks her out. It's sort of Phantom of the Opera style. And she isn't, at the same time, she also isn't able to converse with anyone and really able to tell them this is what's going on with me, because she has those vocal problems. I mean, she was using the parts of her brain that would be used for speech, for fighting, and for killing. So she's really stuck between a rock and a hard place, is that she's trying to find her place and can't express that to anyone. And at the end, she looks like she's kind of breaking down at the end. And who's watching her from a few rooftops away but Lady Shiva? Who is, at least in the pre-Flashpoint universe, is her mom. And Shiva says, "It's okay, I'm here for you." I mean, to herself. But it looks like she's kind of looking out for her. Maybe she wants to use her for the League of Assassins. Lady Shiva's a complicated character.
She is, and she's a very deadly character.
Yeah.
She is a very deadly character.
Yeah.
When Batman did that Night Quest, and then Nightfall, Night Quest, Bruce Wayne had his back broken by Bane. He gets healed, and there's only one person that he trusts to train him. I don't say trust, but he knows that will get him back in the muscle memory shape. And that was Lady Shiva.
Yeah.
When Dick Grayson found out about it, and he was none too thrilled. Lady Shiva is deadly.
Yeah, and she's usually listed as one of the few characters who could beat Batman in a straight fight. And she has really complicated morals too. I mean, she kind of, it's funny because I kind of get thinking about that Suicide Squad issue we had not that long ago with Amanda Waller confronting her kids.
Yep.
And she views herself as being this great mother, and she's not there.
Yep.
I mean, she's this cold, really spiteful assassin, but she does try to be that mom, and she does occasionally try to walk that good line. She's been on the Birds of Prey before.
Yep.
She's teamed up with Batman, and she's kicked his butt numerous times too. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
We also have a story arc for Clayface. And Clayface is one of your favorite characters. I'll let you speak on Clayface.
Yeah, this makes me sad. I mean, this is sort of more of a subplot in that for Clayface, but essentially Clayface is getting some new technology from Batwing, who's the son of Lucius Fox. He's using sort of an armored suit, kind of like their version of Iron Man.
Yep.
And he's come up with this little wristband that'll help Clayface stay in his Basil Karlo form for longer. The problem with that is Clayface really can't be in either form for that long, because if he stays as Clayface, his molecular integrity is starting to break down.
Yep.
Because he's clay. I mean, his DNA is clay too. That's just starting to fall apart. If he stays as Basil Karlo, he's using up what remains of his human DNA. And that's what's been giving him headaches in a lot of these issues, is that his brain has been going from clay DNA to human DNA, and that's causing headaches. And so if he stays as Basil Karlo for too long, he's going to burn up all of his human DNA.
And they said, more than 12 hours.
And who knows what that's going to do. I mean, is he just going to pop back into Clayface, or is something worse going to happen to him?
Right.
So it sounded to me, reading that, like his time is kind of limited in this series. Because if he stays as Clayface for too long, he might go back to being a villain. He might go back to just being a rampaging monster. Or I'm also thinking, is he gonna get killed off?
Right.
Is he gonna make that sacrifice play at the end, which I could kind of see him doing. I don't know where he's gonna fit in unless they figure out some way to cure that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He was going to say, so what does this mean? And Fox said, it just means I miniaturized the belt that Batman had before. Let's have hope. And he's, hope.
Yeah.
He's almost feeling self-defeated.
Yeah.
So those are the story arcs that are going in this part.
I just get to wait for a few issues and wait for my old Yeller moment.
Yeah, no.
At that point, I'll just go and cry in front of all my Clayface figures.
Higher Power, a little short story with Azrael. And this is the Azrael that we kind of know a little bit more from the pre-Flashpoint, the Order of St. Dumas, where he's been genetically, I don't know, well, maybe genetically modified, but he's been trained to be the avenging angel.
Yeah.
But they add a little wrinkle to it, which his armor is, what is it? It's been programmed to think it's an angel?
Yeah. It's all kind of cybernetic that he's wearing. It's the armor itself, which kind of has the Dumas intelligence.
Yes.
Has its own. It's an AI. And that's neat, because that's one of the reasons why he's such a good fighter. Because when Batwing finds him in this program, kind of this doomsday scenario that apparently Batman created just to stump him, is Azrael finishes off these big bat robots in no time flat. And it's because this suit is telling him, okay, this is where you strike, this is where. So it's like two brains working
Dumas,
at once.
The Dumas artificial intelligence, when Fox saw that, Batwing saw it, he was saying this technology is theoretical or something that shouldn't exist. This is way advanced. And Lucius Fox's son, I forget, what is his name?
Lucas. Lucas or Luke.
Is a very intelligent person in his own right. So for him to be impressed with this technology from this old world was very, very interesting.
Yeah. It's essentially an AI made by a cult.
Yes, exactly.
And it's interesting too, because there's a lot of lines drawn between Jean Paul Valley, who's a really devout Christian, and the fact that he's using all this technology that essentially thinks it's an angel. And one of the interesting things is that Jean Paul says, well, the suit didn't function until it believed there was a higher power too. And of course, in that case, the higher power is the fact that there's a guy wearing the suit, or that there's something controlling it. But it's a very neat modernization, I found. Because being a child of the 90s, I know a lot about Azrael. I had a few Azrael toys growing up. I mean, I lived through the whole Nightfall, Night Quest story arc. And it was always kind of hard for me to get into Azrael because he just, something about him just always didn't really do it for me. But then seeing this, it's like, oh, okay. You know, because he was like sort of a computer nerd originally in the comics when his dad basically fell dead on his doorstep and revealed, hey,
exactly.
I'm a assassin for this ancient order, ancient religious order. And it's neat to see that brought back in. It's like, oh, okay, you know, he is that computer genius and super deadly fighter all at once. So it was a neat modernization in that. And it's also interesting too because at the end of their conversation, Batwing says, you know, if the Order of St. Dumas really wanted the suit to work, why didn't they just build a robot to use it?
And on cue.
Yeah, and on cue, you know, through the lenses of the Azrael mask, you see this robot, which I think they call Ascalon, awakens, and so it makes it wonder, okay, is this robot going to try to take the suit of sorrows from Azrael? Who knows?
Finally get a flashback at the very end, another story arc, a little flash, and this one has to do with Red Robin Tim Drake. And this was Red Robin putting the pieces together. And I'll let you speak on a little bit because I'll have a conclusion to it.
Yeah, this is neat because Red Robin picks up Batman after he's gotten out of a fight, and he picks him up in the Red Wing and takes him back to, what did he call that? The Robin's Nest?
Yeah,
that's
the Belfry,
his little room that no one can listen into. And Tim says, okay, I'm starting to see what you're doing here.
Yes.
And he goes through it all and he says, okay, you've got Nightwing working first with Spiral, then with the Parliament of the Owls. So that gets him into one of the, you know, premier spy networks, and it gets him into a huge criminal empire.
Yes.
You've got Red Robin, who's infiltrating Gotham's underworld. He ends up working with Black Mask and his
Red
Red.
Hood. Yeah, Red
So
Robin.
many reds, so many colors, so many masks. Ugh.
And then you're lucky
L
he didn't
names.
have LL on his
I'm so glad it's
emblem.
not. Yeah. And then he also mentions that, well, you know, I haven't been able to spend too much time with the Teen Titans because I've been working in the Belfry, and I'm sure you've talked to Damian about maybe getting, getting that together. Of course, we've seen Damian take over with the Teen Titans. He mentions Duke is now training to be something but still doesn't have a name. Please, Batman, give Duke a name at some point. I'm getting tired of saying Duke. And even at the very end, he says, geez, what's next? Your own private Justice League?
And Justice League Rebirth #1, that's exactly what happened because Batman said, hey, Red Robin said, what are you doing, Bruce? What do you mean? What are you doing? What do you mean? Let me just lay it out. Why are you preparing for a war? And that is what he said to the Justice League of America. I'm preparing for a war. What is the war? What is coming? And I think they said darker days in 2017 was the tagline. Batman knows something is going on. Tim Drake saw that. I could be wrong. I don't think this has anything to do with the overarching Watchmen storyline, but maybe it does. But what is he preparing for that has got him putting all these pieces in the different aspects of the DC universe? What has gotten Batman so frightened? I guess you want to call it frightened or nervous that he's got these pieces. It's very interesting.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, where is that threat coming from? How does Batman know about the threat?
Right.
Because remember, out of the Justice League, he's the one mortal guy who patrols his own little city and thinks about crime lords and not, maybe not an interstellar threat. But one of the things that I thought of, too, is throughout the DC Rebirth, we've seen a lot of villains using alien technology. We saw that in Flash. We saw that with... when Red Hood goes with the Black Mask, and he's looking for alien technology, there's all this alien stuff. It makes me wonder, is something bigger going to happen?
Right.
And it says darker days. Is Darkseid coming back?
I don't. Maybe
that would make me happy.
And it could be it could be after he found the pin, that he put all this in. So it could be the Watchmen
Maybe.
thing. It could be. I don't think it's the League of Shadows or the League of Assassins, because he basically dismissed that. We'll find out, hopefully, sooner rather than later, but that's another mystery. Just when you think there's no more mystery in the DC universe, hey, guess what? Batman gives you another mystery. Superman gives you another mystery. And that's what we like about these comics is each mystery leads up to another mystery in a good way of, oh, we just got over this. Now we're hitting this. I feel there's no event fatigue like you might get sometimes when you read after epic story arc over epic story arc. They give a few issues to allow it to breathe, but we're still seeing that there is a definite plot thread that they are following.
Yep, and this is a neat selection of comics too, because these are some of the really few we've had in the DC Rebirth that actually connect. Like Superwoman and Action Comics, but actually directly tie into one another. Because a lot of these have been kind of parallel stories so far, and now we're finally seeing that connecting. It's like, oh, that's really nice. Now we know how some of this stuff works.
That's going to wrap up this episode of Comic Book Cove. Any other thoughts on where we're going to go from here?
It looks like something big is coming on the horizon. I'm curious to see what that is. And we still have a lot of questions to answer. I mean, you already mentioned what's going to happen to Lana Lang. How's Hank Henshaw going to fit into all this? What's is Wonder Woman ever going to find Themyscira? Who's going to find Themyscira? I think it's the biggest question. Who's going to find it first?
And where do the Outlaws fit in all this?
Yeah, what do you do with a problem like Bizarro? Yeah,
exactly. You nurture them, I guess is the answer.
Yep.
You take them to the lake and you enjoy the sunset.
Yeah, you don't give him the of mice and men treatment.
No.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Well, if you have any comments or any feedback, or you want to talk about some of the titles, or you have any questions on Wonder Woman mythology, because I know I do, drop us a line at our Facebook and YouTube site, Delve Into the Void, and Josh will answer what he knows. So for this episode of Comic Book Cove, I'm Tom Morris.
And I'm Josh Holderbaum.
And Lady Margot Elise says, we will see you next episode.